Do you ever feel empty, like you've run out of reasons to keep giving? The truth is, a simple gift, just a smile, a soft word, or a tiny gesture, can heal your spirit while lighting up the heart of someone who needs it most. The small gift. Did you know that the tiniest moments can sometimes carry the power to change an entire day? Not grand bouquets, not luxurious boxes wrapped in ribbon, but maybe just a scrap of paper with the words, "I thought of you today." That alone can make a heart tremble. The human brain is wired for connection. Psychologists say even gestures as small as a warm glance or a simple hello activate areas of the brain linked to safety and bonding. For those in their 50s, 60s, even 80s, these small gifts are priceless, because they melt away the invisible feeling, the one that whispers you've been forgotten in a noisy world. Think back to the last time you received something inexpensive, yet deeply moving. Maybe it was a handkerchief someone offered when you coughed, or a hot cup of tea placed in front of you at the very moment you were exhausted. These things don't change the world, but they shift your mood. And sometimes, that's the only change you need. Science calls this the helper's high, the burst of happiness you feel the moment you give. Strangely enough, it's not only the receiver who feels better, it's you, the giver, who ends up most fulfilled. Like lighting a candle to share its flame, your candle doesn't burn out, but the whole room glows brighter. So, the small gift you can give today doesn't have to cost a dime or require planning. It might already be in your pocket, a piece of candy. Or in your memory, a funny story. Or simplest of all, in your eyes, the recognition that someone still matters. The miracle is that when you give, you also receive. Not in material form, but in warmth, in the reassurance that you still matter. And sometimes, at an age when joy feels like it has closed its doors, that reassurance is the greatest gift of all. Your brain loves tiny gifts. Picture this: you hand someone a small chocolate, and suddenly your brain feels like it just won the lottery. Weird, right? But that's how your nervous system is wired. When you give even something ridiculously small, your brain rewards you with a hit of dopamine, the same happy chemical that lights up when you eat cake or hear your favorite song. Scientists at the University of British Columbia discovered that older adults who spent even a little money on others, buying coffee, leaving tips, or sharing snacks, reported higher levels of happiness than those who spent on themselves. And here's the kicker: the gift didn't have to be big. A $2 donut did the trick just as well as a fancy dinner. Your brain doesn't care about the price tag, it cares about the connection. Why is this so important, especially if you're in your 50s, 60s, or beyond? Because as people age, the brain's reward system changes. The big thrills, career wins, buying cars, traveling the world, don't hit as hard. But small, consistent bursts of joy? Those matter more than ever. A smile exchanged at the grocery store, a handwritten note, even a silly text message from a friend, all of these release tiny sparks of happiness that add up to something powerful. Here's the funny part: your brain literally tricks you into wanting to repeat the act of giving. Psychologists call it a positive feedback loop. You give, you feel good, so you want to give again. It's like your nervous system has a sweet tooth for kindness. The more you feed it, the more it craves. So next time you think, "I've got nothing left to offer," remember your brain is secretly begging you for these little moments. You don't need grand gestures. A flower picked from the garden, a compliment tossed like confetti, or even sharing half your sandwich can rewire your mood in minutes, because, let's be real, your brain doesn't want you to hoard. It wants you to keep tossing out tiny sparks of joy. That's how it stays young, and how you stay alive inside. The bread story. Imagine an old man sitting on a park bench. His clothes are worn, his face lined with years of exhaustion, and his eyes seem to say, "I don't matter anymore." Now picture this: a stranger walks by, hands him half a loaf of bread, and simply says, "Thought you might like this." Suddenly, the old man's posture changes. His shoulders lift, his eyes soften, and for the first time that day, he feels seen. This isn't just a nice story, it's psychology in action. Humans are wired to measure their worth through connection. Researchers at Harvard have shown that small gestures of kindness reduce feelings of loneliness and can literally shift brain chemistry, boosting serotonin and oxytocin, the chemicals that make you feel calm and bonded. One humble loaf of bread can feel like a lifeline when the world has convinced you you're invisible. And now, maybe you've been in that man's shoes, not starving for food, but starving for acknowledgement. Sometimes what we really crave is proof that we still matter. And here's the twist: giving a bread moment to someone else is often the fastest way to feed your own spirit. Think about it. Have you ever shared a simple meal with someone and noticed how the taste seemed richer, the air warmer, the silence less heavy? That's the magic of a small gift. It's not about the bread itself, it's about breaking through the invisible wall of isolation. And here's the punchline: the person who gave away half his loaf might walk away thinking it was nothing. But to the one receiving, it might have been everything. So if you're wondering whether you have anything left to give, start small. Start with your half loaf, whatever that may be. It might just feed a soul, including your own. The science of giving. Let's play a little trick with your imagination. Picture your heart wearing running shoes. Every time you give even something tiny, it's like your heart is jogging a mile, getting stronger, more flexible, and more alive. Sounds cheesy? Well, science says it's true. A study from the University of Michigan found that older adults who regularly gave small acts of kindness, helping neighbors, writing notes, even baking cookies, actually lived longer. Their risk of depression dropped, their stress hormones lowered, and their overall health improved. In fact, researchers noticed that the benefits of giving were comparable to moderate exercise. Yes, passing out muffins might actually work like doing squats for your soul, but here's where it gets fascinating. When you give, your body produces oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. Oxytocin lowers blood pressure, reduces anxiety, and literally makes your heart beat in a healthier rhythm. That's why you feel that warm glow after you've helped someone. It's not just in your head, it's in your bloodstream. And get this, neuroscientists have discovered that the act of giving activates the brain's reward center, the same one that lights up when you eat your favorite food. Only difference? The joy from giving tends to last longer. Imagine that your brain is basically saying, that smile you caused is tastier than chocolate. So if you've ever thought, what's the point of these little gestures? They don't change the world, remember this, they're changing your world from the inside out. Each small act is like medicine, lowering stress, strengthening immunity, stretching out your life expectancy. The irony is almost comical: in giving away pieces of yourself, you actually fortify yourself. You might think you're pouring out, but really, you're filling up in the process. So go ahead, hand someone a cup of tea, open a door, call an old friend. It's not just kindness. It's biology working in your favor. Lessons from nature. Imagine a tree in autumn. Its leaves turn gold, then gently fall to the ground. To the tree, it may seem like loss, like it's giving away something precious. But those leaves? They become food for the soil, shelter for small creatures, and nutrients that ensure new life in the spring. In nature, nothing truly given is ever wasted. Humans are not so different. The little pieces of kindness you let go of, a kind word, a few minutes of your time, a tiny act of care, don't disappear. They sink into the lives of others, fertilizing hope in ways you may never see. Just like a leaf doesn't watch its nutrients seep into the soil, you don't always see the ripples of your small gifts. But they're there, quietly feeding something bigger than you. Biologists even have a term for this: mutualism. Trees exchange nutrients underground through their roots, helping each other survive. In the same way, people exchange emotional nutrients through everyday kindness. A nod, a smile, a laugh at the right moment, these are like invisible roots, connecting us beneath the surface. And here's the funny part, if you ever doubt whether your tiny gesture matters, just remember the Earth's grand design. If a falling leaf can nourish an entire forest, then your small gift can absolutely nurture a human heart. So the lesson is simple but profound. Don't underestimate the small things. They are not background noise, they are the quiet engine that keeps life going. Every smile you share, every story you tell, every tiny act of generosity is a leaf falling into the soil of someone's life. And sooner or later, something beautiful grows from it. How to start today. Here's a secret your brain doesn't want you to know. The smallest step is often the hardest, but it's also the most powerful. You don't need to donate thousands, bake 50 pies, or write a novel of gratitude. You can begin with something so simple, it almost feels silly. Psychologists call it micro-kindness. Think of it as pocket-sized generosity. A warm smile at the cashier. A sticky note on your fridge with the words, "You did enough today." A 5-minute phone call to the friend you keep meaning to call back. These things sound almost too small to count, but science shows they trigger the same happiness pathways as big acts. In fact, researchers at Stanford University found that older adults who performed just 3 small kind acts a week, like complimenting someone, writing a thank you note, or giving away a flower, reported significant boosts in mood and lower levels of stress. 3 tiny acts. That's it, and here's the beauty, once you start, it snowballs. The act of giving creates what psychologists call behavioral momentum. You smile once, you want to smile again. You write 1 note, you're tempted to write 2. Before you know it, your day is laced with small gifts that ripple outward. So if you're wondering, where do I even begin? The answer is, anywhere. Offer half your sandwich, hold a door, compliment someone's shoes. These are not grand sacrifices, they're starter sparks. And sometimes, the tiniest spark is all it takes to set a heart back on fire, including your own, because in the end, it's not about doing something huge. It's about doing something now. The neighbor's apples. There's a story about an elderly woman living alone at the end of a quiet street. Most days, she barely spoke to anyone. Her TV was her company, and the silence in her house felt heavier than the furniture. Then one afternoon, a neighbor knocked on her door with a small paper bag. Inside were 3 apples, fresh from his garden. Nothing fancy. No ribbon. Just apples, but here's the twist, those apples weren't just fruit. To her, they were proof she hadn't been forgotten. She later said that the apples tasted sweeter than anything she'd bought from the store, not because of the flavor, but because of the gesture. That tiny gift cracked open the silence in her home, letting in a rush of connection she hadn't felt in years. Psychologists call this social nourishment. It's the emotional equivalent of food. Just as your body weakens without nutrition, your spirit shrivels without human connection. And here's where it gets wild, even the smallest snack of kindness, a quick hello, a shared apple, a 2-minute chat, can provide enough emotional calories to keep someone going. Maybe you've had your own apple moment. A neighbor waving as you walked by. A stranger holding the door when you were juggling too many bags. Those weren't random, they were lifelines in disguise, and the irony? The neighbor who gave those apples probably didn't think twice about it. But for the woman who received them, it was a reminder that she still belonged to the world. So ask yourself, what's the apple you can offer today? Maybe it's not fruit. Maybe it's a compliment, a hug, or even just showing up. Because sometimes, the tiniest bag of apples can feed a starving heart. A gift for yourself. Here's the twist no one tells you, every time you give a small gift, you're not only warming someone else's heart, you're secretly wrapping up a gift for yourself. Neuroscientists say acts of kindness create a mirror effect in the brain. The joy you spark in another person bounces back to you, amplifying your own sense of purpose and vitality. Think about it. When you hand over a flower, you see their smile, and suddenly, you're smiling too. When you write a thank you card, you feel lighter before they even read it. It's as if your nervous system is whispering, "Hey, you matter too." And isn't that what we all want, especially as we get older, not just to exist, but to feel like we're still making ripples? The beauty of these tiny gifts is that they don't drain you. They fill you. They prove that generosity is not subtraction, it's multiplication. The more you give, the more abundant you feel. So maybe the greatest small gift isn't the candy, the apples, or even the bread. Maybe it's the moment you realize, I can still bring light into someone's life. That recognition is priceless. It's not charity, it's self-renewal, and here's the punchline: when you give to others, you're really giving to yourself. Because the warmest heart in the room is often the one that offered the gift in the first place.